Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV's live coverage of the iRacing Israel League. We're coming to you live from the home of Apex Racing TV's very own Sam Fitzpatrick virtual Snetterton circuit, and it's looking to be a great race tonight. Alon is fresh off his back-to-back wins at Sonoma and Road America, but he finally had some competition. New driver Dorian Tabechnic impressed us last week, and he'll be hoping to improve in his second place finish from Road America. I'm Dane Baird, and joining me in the commentary box today, we've got Adam Barth. He's also going to be controlling the cameras and overlay that you see on your screen. And for this week, we've also got Alessandro Dalladone, who is joining us for a trial commentary and looking to join us at Apex Racing TV, which is good to see. So, Adam, how's it going, mate?
It's going all right, Dane. Yeah, we were talking just before we came on air about how tough this circuit is, and as we look at the final stages of the qualifying session, I think the drivers are going to be in for a pretty tricky half an hour's race that's coming up. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on. Alessandro, welcome to you as well. Have you had much experience of racing around this track?
Yes, indeed. I did a few practice sessions here around Snetterton in the first part of the week, and I really say that it's a very tough track. Easy for elevation changes, but very tricky, especially with this car. If you lose the back end, especially under braking, it's gonna be tough, especially with cold tires.
Absolutely, with cold tyres on these cars, new tyre model version 7, of course, the cold tyre is going to have absolutely no grip, and you definitely need to warm those up, especially going to turn number 1. It's going to be tricky. It's very bumpy on the inside there, and the pace lap here at Snetterton is very short. You only start just before the final 2 corners as Alon sets a purple lap. He's got onto provisional pole just 100th of a second ahead of Dorian Tabechnic.
Very close qualifying times, as you can see. Just 100th of a second between Day and Tabechnic, as you were saying, and then Farran and Sherling, who had very good races last time out at Road America, separated by a couple of tenths. In fact, that gap's widened a little bit as Farran's just put in a new personal best of 56.8, and now we're looking here at Ron Cohen, who's coming into the final corner now. Let's see what kind of lap time he's going to set. 1:56.3 is the time to beat.
Qualifying is very key here. There are not a lot of chances to pass. The track is very tight, so definitely you want to get a very nice lap in qualifying and not to overachieve in the first few corners where you can end up in a very bad spot.
Yeah, definitely the circuit is very narrow and bumpy. It's also not got too many hard braking zones after a straight. This corner here, Montreal at the turn 2 hairpin, is probably your best shot at an overtake on the circuit. The next long straight won't be until near the end of the lap, but the Bentley straight, which you can see on the right hand side, is the one at the top of the track map. And I've also just seen Nir Nave go into 3rd position. He's just a 10th of a second behind Alon. He's finished both of his flying laps. So the drivers, they've got 10 minutes to set 2 flying laps. It looks like most of the drivers have done so. And so in just less than 2 minutes time, we're going to get ready to race here at Snetterton. We see the last few drivers setting their laps. Michael Sherling, impressive performance from him for the last few races. He's going to be looking to try and close in that championship gap. And I think it's a good time to run down the championship standings. We've got Nir Nave in 1st position, currently leading. We've got Hagay Farran behind in 2nd place. Then Alon, fresh off his back-to-back wins from the last 2 weeks, he's in 3rd. Michael Sherling in 4th. Peter Green in 5th. Shea Epstein in 6th. Nir Mizrahi in 7th. Ahikim Nawa in 8th. Dorian Tabechnic, after just his first race, is up into 9th position in the championship standings, which is fantastic for him. And also got Michael Simon in 10th. He had a pretty disappointing race last week. He's going to be looking to improve on that one. That's your top 10 in the championship standings as we look at the end of the qualifying session. Just one driver left making his laps.
Yeah, and it's your Huda Yosef coming through the final corner now. If you are new to iRacing, if you do run wide at any point on the qualifying lap, you will get an off-track point, and it'll mean your lap is invalidated. Let's hope that's not the case for Yehuda here. He's going to come across the line, and it looks like for him it wasn't a valid lap time. A 2:01.97. Looks like it was a personal best, but I don't think it was enough to get him up the order at all. So he's going to be starting towards the rear of the field, ahead of the cars that haven't set qualifying times. And it looks like there are quite a few of them, the likes of Guy Krugman, Fia Zenau, and Amit Leon as well. Those guys all not setting times as the checker flag is now out.
And you can see the drivers are going to start gridding up now, and you can see on the track map on the right hand side they're not going to do a full pace lap, and it's going to make it really interesting at the start of this race. They're only going to get a very short amount of time to try and warm up those tyres and brakes, and it's going to be difficult for them as they run probably side by side through turn 1. It's very bumpy down to the hairpin of turn 2, heavy braking zone. It's going to be difficult first time by, very easy to lock up the brakes, and you can see the grid now for you. You've got Alon on pole position by just 100th of a second. Behind him is Dorian Tabechnic. And we've got Nir Nave in third place, our championship standings leader. Behind him, Hagay Farran in fourth, Michael Schurling in fifth, IMSA Michelin in sixth, Peter Green in seventh, Adam Levitt in eighth, Oren Sade in ninth, Sardekel in 10th, Ron Cohen, Michael Simon in 12th. That's your top 12 there, 2 seconds behind the leaders. And we've got Yevgeny Patent, Deckel Nar, Gil Epstein, Rancioni, Ido Isaac, Nir Kopp, Nossi Gabay, Ori Lahav, Yehuda Yosef, and those are the last of your time-setting drivers. Then we've got the 007 car of Guy Krugman, Ophir Zenau, and Amit Leon. Neither of those three drivers have set a lap time, and we look ready to race here at Snetterton as the pace car is going to pull away very shortly.
You driven any of these GT4 cars much, Alessandro, recently since they made their debut on iRacing?
Yeah, GT4 cars are very, very nice. Really looking forward to get some company with other cars coming to the service together with the Porsche GT4. It's a very, very nice series for newcomers to GT cars. Definitely a nice step up from the Mazda, the Miatas, towards the GTs and the GT3. And I'm really, really surprised by Alon Day, not really, to be fair, because he's showing why he's one of the best NASCAR drivers in Europe, because in the practice wasn't showing such a good pace compared to Tabachnic. So, very good job from the pro driver from Israel.
And we got told before we came on air that he does know his way around this circuit, does Alon Day. I think he's got he's up there inside the top 25 for the best lap ever around this circuit in this car, I think.
I've been actually racing in NASCAR at Watkins Glen in the Italian Championship. It has been very, very fast. He's pretty much fast ever.
As we see the drivers now, the pace car pulls away. The field is under Alon Day's control. He's had a very good start at Sonoma, and looks like he's got a very good getaway again. So we go green here at Snetterton. So we look at Tabechnic there. He's under pressure from Hagay Farran. Hagay Farran's jumped Nir Nave. He's got a poor start as well. Michelin. Oh, and there's a massive incident there. Michelin's off into the barriers, and that. Oh, you can see the spoiler and the damage there. There's a couple of drivers off as well. That's a pretty big incident. We'll have to get a replay and see what happened there. Meanwhile, Tabechnic has stayed ahead of Farran. And Nave, it looks like he went side by side with Michelin into turn 1. Cold tyres, we'll see what happened there with a replay in a few moments' time. We're going to see how the rest of this first lap plays out. We've got another driver off at turn 3. That's Adam Levitt. He's dropping down the order, and then there's another car off as well. It looks like Ido Isaac spinning there. The drivers have done very well to avoid him, and a bit of a tricky rejoin there on the inside of the corner. We see Dorian Tabechnic closing in on Alon Day. He's got Hagay Farran behind him, but not really an overtaking spot until the next lap, unless someone makes a mistake on the entry to the Bentley straight. It doesn't look like anyone's going to this time by, and a pretty hectic first lap, but the top 4 remain largely unchanged. We've got Alon Day in first, Tabechnic, and we can see Yevgeny Patent has also spun on the way into the Bentley straight, and maybe there's been contact between drivers as well. There's another car off and another one.
Oh!
Ben Yosef, and he's rejoined onto the exit. That's a Pretty poor rejoin from him. He's been collected by Ido Isaac. It's not been Ido Isaac's day, to be fair to him. He's had a spin and now he's unfortunate with that one as the drivers pass the final corner for the first time and they complete their first lap 2 minutes into this race.
Well, I thought he'd be able to top last week, Ido Isaac, because if you were watching last week, he got hit by somebody on the formation lap, but being involved in 2 crashes on the first lap of the race, he's not going to be happy at all with that. Off on the outside of turn 1, that's Hagay Farran. Fortunately, he's able to collect it and carry on again, but it's the best possible start for Alon Day, and he's got a healthy healthy second or so advantage over Alon Day, who's he's 1.3 seconds behind, I should say, at the end of the first lap. Day is already starting to get a little bit of an advantage in the early going here.
Cold tires are striking again at lap 1 as per usual with this new tire model. Drivers tend to be a little bit over aggressive at the start, even if though the top 4 guys made it clean. That's what you need to do in this to get a very good start and have a chance to fight for the lead.
You can see Adam Levitt in 7th place. Nir Nave dropped down 1 position. Farran took him right off the start and he's looking like he's under pressure a bit from Michael Schurling behind as they head down towards Brundle. This is a very tricky long left-hander, hard on the brakes into the right-hander here. It's very easy to hit that massive curb on the inside that's going to pretty much end your race. If you hit it too hard, you can get some engine damage as well if you hit it too hard on the underside of your car. But you can see here riding on board with Michael Schurling around the long right-hander towards the final corner. Lots of slow sweeping corners here at Snetterton, and right on board with him now down the main straight, the pit straight, the center straight as it's known. He's about half a second behind Nave, and Nave is about half a second behind Farran in front. Tabechnic sets a purple lap for lap 2, and looks like Nave has run a bit deep into turn number 1. Is Schurling going to have a look into the hairpin? He thinks about it, pulls out, but he's not going to go this time by, and very nearly punts Nave. Nave's a bit slower through the corner than Schurling expected, and that's unfortunate for him because he's now dropped a bit back.
Very tight corner there, very easy. Stop the guy in front if he doesn't get a very good line into the hairpin.
Here's a look back at the start.
We see the rift.
Indeed, yeah. Here's IMSA Michelin, then turns in. Oh, and the car's just there, isn't it? And he loses the rear spoiler as well to boot. Hopefully that doesn't mean he's really struggling in terms of the aerodynamics. There's the other 2 cars off. We'll have a quick look at what happened to them at the start. So looking here at Ron Cohen, who is currently being shown in 18th place. This is what happened to him at the start. At the top of the picture, you'll be able to see what happened to Michelin. Oh, and Cohen's up the inside, and then, oh dear. Innocent loses a wheel as well. Innocent bystander there, really, in... who else went off with him there? That was Dakel Nar, I believe. So, fortunately for Nar, he's been able to gain a few places back since that first lap collision. Ido Isaac is in 21st place now after all of that. So, that's a little look back at what happened at the start of the race.
Yeah, it was a pretty chaotic start. Quite a few incidents on the first lap. As we see, Tabechnic looks like he's caught up quite a lot to Alon Day. Maybe he's made a mistake. Has the Israeli NASCAR Euro Wheeling Series 2-time champion, which is a bit uncharacteristic. Tabechnic sets another purple lap time. That's the fastest lap of any driver in this session so far. 3 laps into the race. They start lap 4, and he's closing in on him. You can see the gaps at the bottom of the screen. They got an 8/10 advantage on lap 1, and then he just lost time every single lap since then. And Tabechnic is looking to try and make an overtake for the lead. Probably going to stick with him for the rest of this lap and then try and move into turn 2 on the next lap, because there aren't any other overtaking opportunities on the track unless the driver in front makes a tremendous mistake. See the gap increasing on the right bottom corner of your screen.
Yeah, end of the opening lap, it was 8 tenths of a second between Day and Tabechnic, and then by the start of lap 4, which is the lap we're on now, it's down to 3 tenths of a second. And we did see these two have a decent scrap at Road America as well, and it looks like we could be on for more of the same here as they go back onto the Bentley straight here. Do you get much of a slipstream in these cars? Yeah, sorry Alessandro.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, definitely the slipstream is playing its effect on this car. The 13 car has always been very fast in practice, so little sketchy moment.
Big off as the leaders into the wall, both of them. It looks like Tabechnic just a bit optimistic, try to go around the outside on the exit of London, and they're gonna get caught up in traffic, and there's another off, and then Nave's been taken out. Oh, and there's a massive incident there. Looks like Sherling, Farran and Nave all involved in this one. Tabechnic and Day have got away with it. They're still out in front, and there's another one. Massive wreck. And all the drivers are going to be coming around there at full speed around the right-hander. They're not going to know that all of this has gone on. It seems like all the cars have been cleared out of the way for now. But Dorian Tabechnic out in front of this race. Very controversial move. He's really, I think he was at fault for that move around the outside of Day. Just gone all 4 wheels off the circuit. There wasn't really a gap for him to go to. Hopefully we can get a replay of all the events that happened.
Well, there was a similar incident in the British touring cars many years ago between Matt Neal and Jason Plato, where Tabechnic was trying to find some space on the outside and it ended up with both of them going off. It's a massive shame. Fortunately for the guys in the top 5, they didn't lose too many places. Adam Levitt, he went straight into the back of someone quite a few seconds after that, all unfolded. But nevertheless, let's see if we can have a look and see what happened between all these guys. Just need to try and find it on the overlay for you. Here you go. This is afterwards. Here it is again.
Yeah, Alon Day has been blinking a lot in the last few laps, so there might be also some connection issues there playing their part, but still, I don't know whose fault it was, but a racing incident that then caused a major issue.
Yeah, this is the big one here. Nave squeezing through the gap, and then it looks like Michael Sherling there behind him has just turned him, and that's a massive moment there with, looks like Hagay Farran as well. You can see Adam Levitt here coming off, and it looks like, and he's just rejoined right in front of him. He had nowhere to go. And you can see the hood of that car just bumping around as he tries to drive off again. The new damage model really showing off what it can do here today. You can see all of the folds and bends on the front of that car. It's not looking very healthy. This is Porsche 718 Cayman.
Bit of love for Peter Green on the YouTube chat. He's currently in P4 after all this has taken place. It looked like he managed to get through it reasonably unscathed, and tell you what, Tabechnic, he was very fortunate that he hasn't picked up any more damage than what he did. We did see him go into the Armco barrier, so too did Alon Day, and last time around Day was the quickest of anybody in the final sector, so it looks like these cars can take a bit of a hit and still carry on.
English track, English tempers, like a BTCC fight all the days of touring car.
It's true. These cars aren't too dissimilar to the Ginettas that race on the support package of the BTCC. We do see a few wrecks in that series, and things have been a bit like that here in the opening 10 minutes here at Snetterton. Unfortunately, it has strung out the field quite a bit. If we do get the intervals up on the left hand side of your screen, we've got 4 seconds between third and fourth, and a further 6 seconds, 7 seconds between Green and Nave in fourth and fifth.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. These incidents have caused a lot of drivers to slow down, lots of drivers going off, and it's caused some big gaps there. You can see on the left hand side of the screen in the intervals, a yellow gap means that drivers are within a second of each other, an orange gap means they're within half a second of each other, and a white gap means they're more than a second. between these two drivers. We can see Michael Simon here. Looks like his race is going pretty smoothly. He's got a bit of damage to the front right bumper, but he's up into 9th position and looking to chase down Levitt in 8th. As Alon Day sets a 1:55.5, that's the fastest lap of the race. And he's closed the gap down to just 7 tenths behind Tabechnic. And I can't help but think, did Tabechnic get a bit more damage than Day did in that instant earlier on? He's not setting too much of a good pace, and as I say that, Day has made a mistake and the gap is back down to 8 tenths.
You're always guaranteed a good battle if you're looking at Michael Simon. He has been in a lot of scraps since you and me started covering the series to Sonoma. He was in a fight there, and the same was at Road America last week, and here he is in a decent scrap with Adam Levitt, who is still carrying on at a reasonable pace considering the whack that he took, and Nir Mizrahi also in the scrap too, and Yossi Gabe too, and decent battle going on here for a spot inside the top 8. Levitt leading them all rounds at the moment. A little look at the inside there from Simon, but for now it looks like he's going to remain in 9th place. With the time still coming down, Alessandro, is this a car where it does take a couple of laps for the tyres to get up to temperature, and now we're starting to see the quick laps come in?
Yeah, definitely with fuel burning, the laps will be even quicker. But it's also a long race, so you need to be a little bit careful with your tires and don't push too much and don't be too aggressive, especially now that the field has been a bit stretched due to these issues we had in the previous laps. But I think if I was Alon Day now, I would just take it easy, stay behind the 13 car and wait for some mistakes or the end of the race and make sure to get this wrapped up before the last few minutes.
You can see on board from the gearbox of Dorian Tabechnic, and you can see how close Alon Day has managed to close up the gap. He's closed up about 4 tenths on the last lap, lap 7. They're starting lap 8 as they head into the hairpin at Montreal. Really close. Alon Day is really pushing hard to try and catch back up. And I feel like Tabechnic's got some damage to his car because he's uncharacteristically slower than Alon Day here at the moment. As we can see the front of his car, he does have a little bit of damage to the front left of his car. It's obviously where he's made the impact with the wall. And hopefully for our sake, it's not too bad that they can't have a good old scrap here. So the gap is less than half of a second, and it looks like Michael Simon's finally made the move. No, he hasn't. Kopp has tried to go around the outside of the hairpin at turn 2.
Decent scrap this, and that's Simon. Yeah.
The 84 car Mizrahi is also the biggest mover of this race so far. Came up from P18 on the start, and also the 21 won 8th position. Very positive start of the race for these two. Meantime, is the 31 of Hagay Farran, the biggest loser, back in 20th place after issues early on.
You're right, yeah. Nir Mizrahi up 9 places in the opening exchanges. He's also up in P9 as well. Good bit of symmetry there. Looking like a battle between Epstein and Le Havre. Might have been an excursion there for Ori, and he is now down in 16th place. I wonder what might have happened to cause that. We'll have a quick look on the replay for you. So at this moment in time, looks like he's going to lose a bit of time here because, as you can see, there's not anyone behind him. Here he is into the right-hander where Jason Plato famously flipped over, and a wheel onto the grass, and off he goes. So that's why he lost a bit of time, lost a good half a dozen seconds or so, and he is back on in 16th place. Fortunately, he didn't hit anything. That's probably one of the few parts of the circuit where there is quite a bit of runoff area here.
Yeah, he's gone away a bit with that one. He's only lost 1 position, but he's still up 4 positions from when he started. Obviously, he didn't have a very good qualifying, and he's taken advantage of some of the wrecks we've had, but we can see Simon and Kopp still going at it. Looks like Simon just gone around the outside of turn 1. That's a very audacious move from him, and it looks like Kopp's going to try and move around the outside of Montreal, and it's Gabay going to have a look up the inside, capitalizing on the mistake from Kopp, and that's a fantastic move as they're going to go side by side into turn 3, and there's contact. More contact. Oh, and there's another one. He's been collected by Deco. No, he's not too much damage on his car. He's going to say thank you very much and take the 10th position. Levitt and Simon have also got some space from that. Not too sure what happened there. They were side by side into the corner. Who has caused that one? Hopefully we can get a bit of a replay for that one as well, so we can see Tabechnic really under pressure from Alon Day now. Just 2 tenths separating the two drivers, and Alon Day blinking like he did last week at Road America. That's going to be a bit worrying for Tabechnic. It's very difficult to drive against someone who does blink a lot. You don't really know where they are for half of the time. And he's going to look to try and get a good exit. Alon Day, he's got a better exit, and with the draft he might be able to make a move into turn 1, maybe into turn 2. So we can focus on Dorian Tabechnic. You can see the gap when he's on the screen, really close there, just about a car's gap behind, less than a car between the two drivers. Now he's going to pull out to the inside. Is he going to make a move into the inside? Yes, he is. He's given the space by Tabechnic, and he's going to just push him a bit wide, bit of door banging, and he's through into the lead of the race. Hopefully Tabechnic can make a move back as well, as he looks like he's just made a bit of a mistake into turn 3.
And they lost a mirror there.
Indeed he has, yeah. If we leave the helicopter, you can see on the right-hand side of your picture, his left-hand side, there is a mirror missing, and he's going to have to rely on the spotter a little bit more. I feel a little bit for Dorian, because it's off-putting and very tricky to race with a car where on some occasions you don't know where on earth he is. So if Dorian's going to have to get by, it's going to be very tough.
Now they are even. Dorian lost it hitting the anchor barriers in the first crash, and now they will have to face at the same level. Hopefully he will be able to keep up with the draft, even though his car is a bit more damaged than Alon Day. Hopefully for entertainment purposes, obviously, we will see a nice end of the race.
Both getting battle scars from the collision between the two early on in the race day.
Yeah, definitely. They're both missing their left-hand side mirrors. It's obviously not too much of a problem in iRacing. Got the virtual mirror that the drivers usually run with, but if the driver decides, oh, I'm going to make it really realistic and run without the virtual mirror, or maybe they're running in VR and have turned it off because it gets in the way. I know I've done that a couple of times. It can be pretty difficult to drive once you lose your mirrors. It's very difficult. And we can see here Michael Simon in 9th position. He's caught up to the back of Levitt. And the battle for 8th position, he's just about 2 tenths behind. This is the same sort of gap we saw last time by with Tabechnic and Day, and he's very close. You can see as we ride on board with Michael Simon. And he's going to look to go around the outside. He's caught up to him. He's going to make the pass. Is it going to hold as they come? Oh, very close. And it looks like Levitt's just held on, but he's going to come back, squeezing him tight to the inside. It looks like Levitt's going to let him pass. Simon outbrake himself a little bit, but he's going to be able to hold on to the 8th position as they come down towards turn 3.
He tried to pull off the move, Alessandro, that he did on the previous lap through turn 1. It didn't matter in the end, though. He was able to get it done there.
Yeah, it's very tricky because it's a very fast corner. If you don't right, you can go easily off track by your own. Doing side by side, meanwhile you see a big power slide from the 420 there. It's very, very tough. So you have really to trust the guy in front or beside you, because the car can get very, very understeery. So it's not very easy. Very nice move by the 420 there in that occasion, and clean racing.
Welcome to all of you watching on the iRacing Israel League channel. If you're just joining us, we had a moment at the start of the race which included pretty much all of the top 4 in the final sector of the lap. it began with Alon and Dorian Tabechnic colliding at this very corner here, and then a couple of cars getting collected afterwards. Since then, though, Alon has passed Dorian Tabechnic, and it looks like Dane is pulling away at quite a rate. The gap's over a second now, approaching 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like he's just got the pace advantage over Tabechnic there. As we can see, Adam Levitt looked like he was a bit wide out of the final corner. That's not going to help his chances of an overtake right back, and Nara's going to probably have a look at Levitt on the next few laps. You also see the only remaining battle within a second here. We've got Sardekel and Sadi behind the battle for 6th. Just about half a second between the drivers as they come around turn 3. Sadi's going to have to stay behind him for the rest of the lap, or hope that Deckel makes a bit of a mistake, try and close in so he can make a move into turn 1 or turn 2. Like you said, trying to make a move into turn 1, Alessandro, you said it requires a lot of trust. You really do have to trust the driver next to you, whether you're on the inside or the outside, to make sure that they don't collide with you, as we saw on lap 1 of this race. And hopefully these drivers can have a bit of a battle towards the end. We've only got 7 minutes left of this race.
And now the people who have kept it clean with no mistakes and have almost a fresh car will keep gaining time and position, even though the field is very, very stretched out. That's probably something the 13 of Tabechnic is wondering now. What if he didn't pull that move and sent both of the leading cars into the Anko barrier? Because with the left front fender damage he couldn't keep up Alon from passing in for the lead.
On the left-hand side of your screen is, I don't think it's totally accurate, but it's a reasonable representation of who's gone off the most times during the race. You are given a bit of, this is more probably one of the lenient tracks in terms of the off-track, if you go off the circuit, a bit like Brands Hatch in a way. On the exit of Graham Hill Bend, you can go quite some distance off the circuit and still get away with it. But here is one of the battles that we haven't really covered much during the race. This is between Sardekel and Oren Sadeh. This is over 6th and 7th. Both are good races in terms of gaining positions.
And the gap you can see there is just about a quarter of a second. No real overtaking opportunities. Might make a move down the Bentley straight if you can get close enough with the draft. And you can see the gap is just 0.3 of a second. It's very close between these two drivers. So you can also see the gap between Levitt and Nar.
Similar gap,
and
isn't it?
Like Nar looks like he's got past Levitt. I don't remember seeing him past Levitt already. I think Levitt's maybe made a mistake. Here you can see Nim Mizrahi. Looks like he's...
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I jinxed it when I mentioned him for the biggest mover of the race. Then he dropped a few positions. I think he spun a few laps after naming him, as per usual.
No. Not sure if he clipped the grass or not, or he just missed the braking point there. Amir Mishulam, who was...
Yeah, it's very easy. Had some issues trying to get his track in official series too. Not that easy. Don't have a lot of reference points. Like in the last sector is very, very complicated. It's also this one corner. Then it's very complicated to get it right.
Issues for Orila have here. Now this is on the Bentley straight, and it looks like he might have done it by himself. This might be interesting. It looks like he's got damage, Dane, I think.
Yeah, he might have clipped the grass exiting the corner or entering, but seems like he has another issue.
Trying to see if we can get in the cockpit. I'm not too sure what's happened to poor Ori there, but he's down in 18th place now, and
might be a technical issue, a hardware issue. The car seems actually fine.
The car does seem fine, you're right. Maybe trying to sort out something in his rig. I'm not too sure. It looks like a bit like the Max Verstappen incident from the Spa 24 Hours last year, when he obviously lost his brake pedal and he couldn't brake. So it looks like a similar kind of situation there. Looks like it's probably a hardware issue for him. As we can see this battle with Dekel and Sade. Sade's got into 6th position, just 7/10 ahead of Dekel.
See how that happened actually, as we've got a bit of time just before the checkered flag comes out. 3 minutes to go. Looks like he's picked up a decent toe down the front straight. Is he going to pull off the move that we saw Michael Simon pull off so well? Yes, he does. Carries a lot of speed into that first corner as well. Oh, and nearly gets hit up the rear by Sardekel there going into the Montreal hairpin.
The fantastic move from Sade there around the outside really carried so much more speed. I think Dekel just decided, I'm not going to fight him. He's obviously a bit faster than me. I'm not going to risk this end to the race, this close to the end of the race. Not going to risk holding it side by side and ending both of our races. I'll rather just keep my 7th position that I've got. As we can see Yossi Gabay here with just about 2 minutes left to go. So they're going to have 2 more laps here, I believe. We can see Yossi Gabay just half a second behind Sioni for the battle for 11th. And also got Le Havre and Josef battling for 18th and 19th place, although Le Havre has just gone off the track. I'm not sure if there was contact there, maybe. He's very slow. And he's just lost 6 or 7 seconds. Or Le Havre once again. Not too sure what's happening to him. It's the same kind of corner. So we're right on board.
And he stopped at a similar point to where he stopped on the previous lap. I'm not too sure what's happening. Here he is one more time. So, turns in. He's got the number 10 car of Yehuda in front of him. Oh, and under some sort of imbalance.
He lost it.
Yeah, has he got the rear spoiler on the car? Yeah, that's. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the issue is for
It's
him.
a strange situation. Usually it's exit of the corner having issue, but probably has some major issues hardware-wise because he's really having a bad time.
Yeah, he is, and it also looks like he's just retired back to the pit lane. When we cut back to him, he was off the track as well. So the drivers on the lead of this race, we can see Dorian Tabechnic, and now we can see Alon Day. He's on the white flag lap here at Snetterton, and he's got a healthy 3.5 second lead, and he looks set to win his 3rd race in a row in the iRacing Israel League. Pretty dominant performance from him. He was ahead for most of this race, and looking good to win here as we pass the half-an-hour mark, and that is the end of the timer. So this is the final lap for all of our drivers. You can see he's come up to a bit of lap traffic as they head onto the Bentley straight. Hopefully that won't cause any issues for him. He's still got a nice 3-second lead over Tabechnic, and he seems set to take the win here. Go down the field to see if we get any more battles. We've got Gabay and Patent for 13th and 14th. They're just 1.5 tenths separating them. That's going to be a battle to watch to the line. As we can see, Alon Day has just got 2 more corners to go here at Snetterton. Here he comes around the long right-hander where we saw the incident all those laps ago, and into the final left-hander, missed the curb on the inside. Take as much AstroTurf as you dare on the outside, and Alon Day is going to take the checkered flag for the win. 2.5 seconds ahead of Dorian Tabechnic here at Snetterton Raceway. He's going to probably increase his, or decrease the gap at the top of the tables, maybe even take the championship lead. I'm not too sure. I haven't done the quick maths. Dorian Tabechnic takes 2nd, Michael Shelling takes 3rd, Peter Green is set to take 4th, Nir Nave just behind him is going to take 5th, And we've got a nice 11-second gap to Sade, and we can see Garai and Payton still having that battle, and also Levitt and Sione still having battles as they come towards the end of their laps. Here you can see around Sione just behind Levitt for the top 10 position. They come around into the final corner. Is it going to be a drag race to the line? He's got a fantastic exit. He's going to try and pull to the outside. I don't think he's done enough though. Oh, it's very close. Just a half a car separating them at the line. Great racing to the end. Just 0.07 of a second separating those two drivers. And Yossi Gabay is not close enough to make a move on Payton. So that's how that's going to finish. And none of the other drivers really have got anyone close to them. So the last 3 drivers to cross the finish line are going to be finishing how they are on screen now. I mean, Michelin obviously started 5th in the grid. It's not where he wanted to finish the race after the incident at the start. And our final driver here, Nir Nave, he's going to finish in 17th position, and that is the last driver.
Tell you what, that half an hour went by extremely quickly. Another brilliant race around the Snetterton circuit, and once we've got through the results, we'll get onto the interviews. And what's going to be interesting is that we have both Alon Day and Dorian Tabechnic ready to speak to us. So I wonder if they'll have differing views on what happened early on in the race. We might be able to get a replay of it as well while we're interviewing them. So without further ado, Dane, the results are going to be on your screen now.
Yeah, so we can see the race results for the 5th round of the iRacing Israel League at Snetterton. We've got Alon Day taking the checkered flag for the win, his 3rd race win in a row, and Dorian Tabechnic taking his second place in a row after 2 races. He's done really well in this league so far. Hopefully he's going to stick around for the rest of it and we can get some more drivers as well. Michael Sherling gets the final podium position in 3rd, and we've got Peter Green in 4th, Nir Nave in 5th, Oren Sade in 6th, Sar Dekel in 7th, Michael Simon in 8th, Dekel Nar in 9th, and Adam Levitt in 10th position. That rounds up the top 10, and we've got Ran Sione, Gil Epstein, Evgeny Payton, Yossi Gabay, Amir Meshalam, Ron Cohen, Nir Nave, and Yehuda Yosef in the top 18. Then we've got Ori Lahav, Hagay Farran, Ido Isaac, Guy Krugman, Orfir Zenau, and Amit Leon. None of those drivers finished the race, unfortunately for them. But that's the 24-car grid that we had today. It's a pretty big one, and hopefully we can see this grid expand as we have these broadcasts on the iRacing Israel League. We can get more people involved, and we've got some time for some driver interviews. So Adam, if you want to take the first one.
Oh, right, okay. No pressure. Let's get our race winner. Let's get our race winner in Alon Day, shall we? Started on the pole. Knows this track very well. I'm just going to see if we can get the incident up between them just before I drag him in. Bear with me for just 1 second. Let's get him in actually. So while we get him in, make sure I don't put him in the other other comms channel, which is broadcasting another race.
אתה יודע, אפילו לא חשבתי על משהו כאילו שיהיה אחרת.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
My fault.
Yeah, I was in the middle of a conversation together with Dorian. Sorry.
Oh, right, okay. Well, yeah, that was probably the main talking point from the race, but in the end, it mattered. It didn't matter too much for you. You were able to take the win by a comfortable margin in the end.
Yeah. Dorian drove a great race. I'm pretty sure that without the accident that we had and the damage that he had on his car, he probably would have won. Yeah, it was pretty hard, especially in that moment when I made a mistake and I slid a bit, and then he went on the grass. The moment he was on the grass, I thought it's over, but he came back just on me. But yeah, that's racing. It was hard racing. It was fun, a lot of fun. Yeah, that's it.
Did you know he was coming by on the outside? It didn't look like there was too much room between the two of you at that point.
I saw Dorian on 4 wheels on the grass, and well, as a racing driver, when the guy is four wheels on the grass, then I don't care. Like, that's his problem. He needs to slow down and let me go. But if I was in his car, I would probably do exactly the same and force myself to come back on the track. Again, it's hard racing. I know that when we came back to the track, it was a big mess because everybody came together. But it's so hard to control this car once it's on the grass and the ABS is working and the TC is working and everything is working. All the systems. It's so hard to control the car on the grass, and I know that we make a bit of a mess behind us. But yeah, it was a great race anyway.
Out of the races that we've been to, the likes of Sonoma and Road America last week and Snetterton today, is this a track that you know very well? I hear you were one of the quickest drivers ever in this car and track combination.
No, it was actually Dorian. Dorian managed to get into the top 10 in world records, which is amazing. I'm just 21st. We practiced together almost every day, so we knew that our pace is higher than the rest because we knew how much we train. It's super hard track, but thankfully we are done here, off to Suzuka.
Yeah, I was going to say Suzuka next week. In some elements, it's a bit like Snetterton, but of course, there's a lot of uphill and downhill sections. Is that a track that you like a lot?
Yeah, it's a fun track. I think it's going to be extremely boring with these cars. Too long. I don't know. Probably a lap there will be 2 minutes 30 or something like that. But anything that it's not Snetterton, I would take. Like, I hate this track.
I think your viewpoint is agreed with most of us in the commentary box here.
I mean, the track before they made a change, I don't know, like in the 60s, because I remember that track from Grand Prix Legend, that game simulator from the 90s. It was so much nicer. I don't know why they changed it and make it so hard to drive, and the smallest mistake you can lose so much time. And again, thankfully we are out of here.
Cool. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, again, to Amir, first of all, that again put everything here together, that championship, which is amazing. And every person, like we try to make this championship as good as we can, and every person just donate from himself to this championship, helping each other. So I think this shout out is to everybody that did a great race, and yeah, and to you guys again for amazingly doing your job in a good way. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, thank you guys.
Well done on another win, Alon, and thanks for coming to speak to us today. And yeah, best of luck next week at Suzuka.
Thank you very much. See you next week.
Alright, so next up I've got Dorian Tabechnic here in the commentary box. So, Dorian, second place, you happy with that result?
Nope. Not really. Yeah, it was a good fight early on. Man, did I put a lot of practice this week. Problem was, Alon was still having a little bit of network issues, so it was hard to tell what his car was doing. As I'm looking at the replay now, turns out his car was sliding and he corrected. Now, what I thought happened, because his car was much stiffer on the track for me, is I thought he was taking the inside line because he went a bit slower than me. So I was like, fine, perfect, I'll take the outside flat out. And little did I know he was correcting his slide, and that caused everything else. Unfortunately, I took some damage after that. Right as we started sliding, I got punted into the rail, and the car lost about 3/10 on straights. There wasn't much I could do.
Yeah, that was a very unfortunate incident between you two. The connection issues, but for Alon obviously weren't helping. Next week, the series heads to Suzuka. Do you have any experience driving there? And if so, do you think you can challenge Alon for the win again?
I really sincerely hope so. Yeah, I mean, I love Suzuka. Suzuka is one of my best tracks. I hope. I hope it will be with this car because it's very different. They usually run high downforce cars there. But yeah, it should be pretty good. It should be a good race, just like this one. If you can avoid the damage, we should have been at it the whole 30 minutes. Like it should have been neck and neck. But fortunately, the damage prevented that. But next time, we'll try to keep it a little cleaner, and we'll see who can prevail.
Oh, we certainly hope so as well. I'm gonna head to someone new now, but before I let you go, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to Alon's Internet. It's awesome. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for doing really good work.
Oh,
I love
thank
watching
you
the
very
replays
much.
after.
Oh, thank you very much. I also love doing that when I'm in broadcast races. I love to watch the broadcast back. Thank you for joining us for an interview. We hope to see you next week, and hopefully you can challenge Alon for the win next week at Suzuka. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, cheers.
Good to hear the viewpoint there of Dorian there, slightly differing from Alon Day. So good to get a balanced viewpoint there, I guess. And who shall we go and get next for an interview?
Oh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? We've not got Michael Sherling or Peter Green. I think the next highest driver on our list is Sione.
Indeed, yeah, who we saw having a decent scrap with Adam Levitt towards the end. So I hope I'll drag him into a room that means that for a moment, just so that we don't interrupt their conversations. Let's get him into interview waiting area 2 and get him in here for a quick word. He joins us now. It's Ran Sione. Welcome.
Hi guys, thank you.
We managed to. Well, yeah. Thanks for stopping by. We saw the battle you had with Adam towards the very end. It was a close run thing, and it was very close between you two at the line.
Yeah, it was a real photo finish. In the last lap, I think he went off track or something like that, and I managed to reel him in, and right into the finish line. I thought I could get him, but it was a photo finish, and I hope to get into the top 10. And there was a couple of unfortunate accidents during the race that I think if not for them, I would have managed to get into the top 10.
Some of the drivers we've been speaking to haven't really been too fond of this circuit. What's your thoughts on Snetterton?
Wow, it's a really, yeah, I think so. Also, in the same opinion, it's a really hard track. Smallest mistake, you touch the grass, and that's it. You can spin. And with this car on this track, it's really hard to recover from a mistake.
And also, the Porsche, it seems to be quite slippery on the grass, maybe more than some of the other cars on the iRacing service anyway.
Yeah, the traction control comes in, and then it's really hard to get off the track or control it. It becomes oversteery and understeery, and it's really hard to control. I'm really looking forward for the next week into Suzuka circuit.
Yeah, we were speaking to, I think we were speaking to Dorian about it just before we came over to you, and he said that the Porsche won't be too good around here, but are you looking forward to it?
Into Suzuka?
Yeah, Suzuka, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me at least it's a much easier track, and I wasn't really too familiar with the current track, and I didn't manage to get enough practice because of work. And Suzuka is a track that I'm pretty familiar with, and I'm really looking forward to the next track. Yeah.
Great. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone at all?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for doing an amazing commentary, for Amir for putting all this together, for Dorian, Alon, Day, and Hagay Farran for doing those little classes in the middle of the week and teaching us about the tracks and giving us advice. And for everybody that participating in those races, it's really fun to see it all come together.
Great. Well, unlucky about missing out on the top 10.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us, Ran, and all the best next week.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Alright, so I think we've got time for a couple more interviews left in the broadcast. I'm going to bring Michael Simon into the commentary box for an interview. Michael, how's it going?
Did we have this issue last week?
I think we did. Michael, are you there? Oh dear.
Right.
Got emotional.
I was speechless.
Alright, it looks like we've lost Michael, so maybe we can try and get in Dekel Nar into the commentary box. Dekel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hi mate, I'm just a bit quiet, see if we can get you a bit louder. And so how was the race from your perspective, mate?
Well, it was exciting, it was exhausting, it was everything. Actually, I didn't have a very good qualifying, like to be a bit faster. So I started somewhere in the mid-pack. And then someone crushed at me. I just watched the replay. He came out in the first corner, out of the grass, back at me, at a total surprise, pushing me to be last. It was a very hard comeback to come back from last to ninth position. Filling my expectations.
It was a great race from you, especially with your not so great qualifying position. Do you have much experience around Snetterton before the race, or was this a new track for you to learn?
So it was a very, I just learned it 3 or 4 days ago. And overall, I'm quite a rookie on iRacing.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Next week, the series is heading to Suzuka. Do you have experience at Suzuka?
Actually, I don't. This is one of I always wanted to visit. Great opportunity to learn the track. Supposed to be very fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fantastic circuit. I'm sure you're going to love it. Pretty much everyone on iRacing does. It's a really great circuit. Going to head off now, but before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Of course, I want to thank mostly Stingray, Hagay, that raced today, helping me out to prepare here, and to everyone else that helped me to race. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
See you next week. Have a good one.
You too,
Cheers,
thank you
Deco.
very much.
Cheers.
It seems like Michael Simon has joined interview waiting area once again, so maybe he's
We'll try him one more
come
time.
back.
Yeah.
We'll try him one more time.
Come on, Michael. Michael, are you there?
Oh no!
Let me just check I'm not muting him or something. Yeah, not too sure why we can't hear him. Not too sure. Oh, he's gone back to the interview room, that's why. Michael, can you hear us? No, maybe not. That's a shame, but yeah, Michael Simon, he was right in the thick of the action again, 4th place. One thing I did find interesting was when we were talking to talking earlier that that's the league organisers put on the track guides for everybody so they can get a bit of practice during the week.
Yeah, I think it was Hagay Farran there who was mentioned a couple of times. I heard it last week as well. He's been giving a bit of sort of coaching sessions throughout the week for some of the less experienced drivers out there, which is really great to see. It's a fantastic thing for him to do. It's a great thing to see in the sim racing community. I think we are going to wrap up the broadcast. So, Alessandro, do you have any final thoughts?
It has been for sure a very entertaining race. A lot of action, passes, door banging, argy-bargy, as you prefer to call it. So I'm really looking forward for next week's race at Suzuka. We are heading to the Far East. Hopefully we will have another very, very beautiful race here on Apex Racing TV with the Israel Racing League.
Quite a lot of people in the YouTube chat tonight as well. There was a lot of interaction going on during the race. A lot of love as well for you, Alessandro. I must admit, your good friend Marco Barbanera was was in the YouTube chat, and yeah, you're right about Suzuka. Grand Prix circuit there, famous figure of 8 layout, and a track that's famous all around the world. It's probably been on pretty much every single racing game I've ever driven. So those that do know it will be eager to get as strong a finish as they can when we head there at the same time next week.
Yeah, definitely. Suzuka is a much loved circuit in the sim racing community, and like you said, pretty much every single racing game has got a version of it on the game. It's a really great circuit, and I'm looking forward to that. Should provide some fantastic racing, especially seeing cars all file through 130R for the first time. Is going to be a sight to behold, I'm sure. But that's it for this time, and we'll see everybody hopefully back next week at the same time, 8 p.m. UK time, on the iRacing Israel League YouTube channel. If you're still here watching us, make sure you subscribe to the iRacing Israel League YouTube channel, and of course to Apex Racing TV to find more sim racing broadcasts every single day. And make sure you follow us on social media, www.instagram, Facebook or twitter.com/Apex Racing TV, to get regular updates about what is happening in the sim racing world. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Adam and Alessandro for joining me in the commentary box today. And I'll see you all next time. Good night.